Hey, what's up, World Wrestling here? Man, awesome. It's definitely been a few years. I think the last time I spoke with my man Omi here was after they won the national title. He was down in South Florida at one of his family's houses in the backyard, and we were chilling. But man, here he is back again. I know runner-up this year. Obviously, Omi's done a lot of big things over there in LifeU, growing that program. For us Florida people, a South Dade kid, came out of that legendary program down there, and was the first ever national champ for Grandview. So now he's got a big, they battle each other every year. It's become a huge competitive blood there, and huge rivalry. See, my high school education didn't help me get that word out, but it's become a huge rivalry. So here we are. Omi, what's up, man?
How's it going, man? Nice to see you again. And number one thing, I'm not the first national champ. I was a part of the team that helped them win it the first time. Before me, we had Reese, Glenn Reese, and Matt Burns before me. I was the third individual.
So you were on the first team?
Yes.
All right, my bad. But anyway, close enough. First, third. He was part of the first team. But, man, so LifeU, man, you've really built a hell of a program up there, doing great things. What's going on?
Good things are happening, man. Last season, a lot of growth. We took second again, which is something that we got to get better at. And we won national duels. So we ended up beating Grandview head to head, and then we lost to them at traditionals. And just continue to evolve and get better as a coach, as a human being, and getting my guys to become better people through the sport of wrestling.
Yeah, so dual champs, individual runner-ups, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, one thing before we get into it is, man, you've really done a hell of a job, getting Brevin up there and getting him back on track. And, man, he's just killing it. Talk about that. Obviously, I know Coach B and Coach Doug, they're like parents to you. And obviously his son went out to Division I, and it didn't work out for whatever reason, and you were able to get a hold of him and get him back to you and kind of get him to the point now where, man, he's really turned the corner, huh?
Yeah, man, big changes. The coolest thing is he's graduating with his degree here in a couple of weeks. I know Coach B and Doug, and I know him since high school. So Brevin, I used to come over to Coach B's house, and Brevin was a baby. I remember Coach B just throwing him in the pool, and he was a really good swimmer. And I had a relationship with Brevin since he was a little kid. So when things didn't work out for him at Oklahoma State, I reached out to him and told him, hey, man, you could come here, get your degree, and still compete at a high level. And, since then, he moved down. He was an All-American his first year, and then he won it back-to-back without giving a single takedown in either national tournament. And his riding time, is crazy. Like, we did the math the other day with Cole, and that dude had more riding time than you could possibly think. So it's great, but the number one thing, that I'm happy for him is that he became a national champion. He became he's about to graduate college, and he's, now he's going to be closer to his child, and he's going to be a good man of character, from here on out.
Yeah, it's awesome. As a matter of fact, Coach B has me doing a flyer for him because he's coming back home, doing camps and things like that. So I'm going to work on it. Yeah, but it's been a great story, man, to see him do that. And I mean, to defeat a kid like Sal Silva, who is an absolute great kid, a stud, somebody that was between, I think, LifeU and SCU when he was coming out of JUCO. And, man, to see him compete against Sal at that high level, man, obviously Sal, and, man, that was impressive.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I mean, I know a few things. One thing you wanted to mention is your ties with Grandview. I know we see this rivalry every year. From the outside looking in, maybe people think there's a beef, maybe people think there's friction, but in all reality, it's all love, no?
Yeah, I think, I got this from Mitchell. Like, I don't think we're a rivalry, because when you have rivals, you hate people, you hate them. So like, I really do not hate my coaches or, Paul Reedy or Mitchell. I have nothing but respect and love for them. But sometimes I let I lose track of, trying to win and making it personal, and that's something I have to get better at. And like, I'm a competitor. So when we lose or something doesn't go our way, I take it personal. And when we lose to them, sometimes I take it personal, and I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to see anything about them. But as things settle, it's all love. I got to get better at handling that for sure. But they know that I respect them and love them, and it's just part of the sport. It's kind of hard, for somebody that's passionate to just be okay with losing. You know what I mean? So it's just something I got to get better at, man. I have to mature and learn from it and continue to get better and focus on ourselves.
Yeah, but I mean, what a hell of a track you've had, right? You're down at South Dade with, and it's funny because when I started this in COVID, I didn't know anything about anyone, right? I was just trying to kind of move on, and it's been kind of cool to learn history of people and kind of watch them grow. And obviously, a guy like you have that unfortunate uh, break of your arm during high school, your senior year, and I think I was talking to the brother of the guy that did that, and I was like, you talk to Omi now, he'll tell you it was a blessing because it really drove him and it set that fire to get to the next level and do that and do what he's done. But you're under a regime like B and Duck, and then you go to Mitchell, right? And his program. I mean, you've had some good tutelage, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I had some great. I've been fortunate enough to have some, legendary coaches, in my life. I had, Coach B and Duck in high school. Then in JUCO, I had Coach John Robinson and Dale Grove. And then at Grandview, I had Mitchell, which he's, the reason why I'm coaching today. Because when I graduated college, I wanted to be a police officer. I moved back to Miami. I had no idea that I really wanted to get into coaching. So it was kind of like, my I never redshirted in college, so like I needed 1 or 2 more semesters to graduate, and I was a student coach, and I was involved with everything of the program, and I kind of fell in love with how Coach Mitchell was just mentoring guys to become better people and live the right lifestyle. So I kind of fell in love with coaching and decided that I do not longer want to be a police officer, and so from there on, I decided to start coaching, and that's when my coaching career started back in 2013.
Yeah, and I mean, you could see obviously your goal is to get these kids their degree and do that. You know, before we get into anything else, I know you're a very personal guy. You don't make your life really public, but people don't know he's a young father now with a beautiful little girl. And the only way we all found out is he put a picture of him at the hospital on social media because he doesn't obviously publicly talk about himself. But what before going forward, that moment having your baby and being a new dad, changes your life, doesn't it?
Yeah, man, it's a brand new battle. It's different. First, big shout out to Lucy, my wife. She's awesome. I don't know how she does it, but she's the freaking rock. She's the one that holds it down with the baby and everything, and it's just a different battle. It's still kind of new and 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 I'm learning, every day. Yesterday she smiled for the first time, so it's kind of cool seeing a little thing that kind of looks like you and smiles, moves. So yeah, it's pretty cool, pretty exciting experience. I'm excited for it and what's to come.
Yeah, Omi only looks 18, but he's way older than that.
Yeah.
It's that Dominican blood.
Yep.
Hey, so yeah, I mean, you got something to come home to now. I mean, obviously your wife you were coming home to before, but like a purpose, right? And it's pretty cool when you become a dad and do that. Um, some things that has been going on that's transition in the college atmosphere is kind of the new and kind of in the system is this new NIL that's going on and kids are jumping into portals and uh, how have you seen what's going on at that NCAA D1, D2, D3? Has that affected you guys at NAIA?
Not really. I mean, NAIA wrestling and, small college wrestling overall, I don't know if they have too many NIL deals. Um, it's crazy. I think, athletes getting paid a lot of money. I mean, I know they deserve to get paid, but it's just crazy, man. Like, there's people making millions, especially football. It's kind of wild. I'm not too educated on it because I don't have to really deal with it. But I'm happy for them. They're making money, and it's just I don't think it's good for small college wrestling. But it's good for the big schools. They keep getting better, and the small schools it's hard for us to compete with that.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, my son is at a D3 school. And I know talking to their coaches, they're not able to bring any money to the, it's very difficult to get money on the wrestling side and the education side. And so, yeah, you have a kid that maybe should be at a D3 school or an NAIA school. And then next thing you know, somebody they get a little taste of something somewhere else, and hopefully they go down that road and they succeed. But a lot of them are going to get there and realize, man, maybe this isn't where I should be, right, and make decisions. But I'm sure during the recruiting process with those smaller schools, you have a lot of kids that are between NAIA and maybe D2 or D3. What are the biggest differences, and what are some of the similarities, and how should kids make decisions to choose maybe a Life U or something over maybe a D2 or D3?
I think there's good wrestling in every division. There's Division 1 wrestling, there's D2, D3, NAIA, so club. There's good wrestling. I think the biggest key is going somewhere where you feel wanted, and somewhere where you feel at home, and going somewhere where you feel like you're gonna have a meaningful athlete experience. And I think that's what it comes down to. I think if you get caught up in divisions and labels, you're not gonna truly find happiness. You got to go where you want it, and we're gonna have a great student athlete experience. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And wrestling wise, I think each division has good wrestlers. I think it's rock, paper, scissors. A lot of people talk about, NAIA and D2. I think D2 has some really tough dudes. So does the NAIA. You know what I mean? I don't think the NAIA takes a back seat to D2. A lot of people think that D2 is way better than NAIA. And I'm an NAIA guy. I would like to disagree. I would like to say that they both have some really good wrestling, and they're both good divisions, and they grow the sport of wrestling. Division 3, I coached Division 3 for a year at the Coast Guard. I think it's really, really hard to become an All-American in Division 3. There's like 180 schools and only like 18 people qualify per weight. That is wild. And I think that's pretty tough. So like I said, there's good wrestling in every division. Just go where you feel wanted and where you feel like you're gonna grow. Don't get caught up too much in the divisions. I think it's irrelevant. And wrestling outside the top 35 in D1 wrestling, it's small college wrestling. It doesn't matter. It's wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, unless you're one of the very, very elite, make a decision for the next. I think I heard it, one of you guys tell me, this decision is for the next 40 years, not for the next 4 years. So make sure you make a decision that way. Some people, obviously down in South Florida and here in Florida, everybody, knows Life U because of you and what you've done there. And obviously this is where you're from. And you hear it in the room, are you going to become a Life U kid with Omi and go up there and do your thing? Some of the kids, they get concerned because your program is big, or there's a lot of kids in the room, and they get worried that maybe they'll get missed, or maybe they'll get overseen or overshadowed. So maybe they don't make a decision to come see you. What would you tell a kid that's thinks that way about, maybe I want to go to Life, or I've heard good things about Omi, but I also heard that there's a lot of kids there and I don't want to get lost in the shuffle?
I mean, that's a good question, man. I get a lot of that. But in reality, like, if you want to be great, why will you go somewhere where it's going to be easy every day? If a kid doesn't believe that he could come here and become a part of the team, why would I want him? Even if his coach believes that his kid can't come here and become an All-American, then that's on the coach putting the confidence of his wrestler down. You know what I mean? Like, I love South Dade because we had good people in every single freaking weight class. I lost my wrestle off my senior year because the room was so deep. It's part of life, man. Like, you have to go somewhere where you're gonna get pushed. And at my times like Granby, we had great people in every single weight class. The room was deep, 5 deep in each weight class. The best guy wins. It's just part of life. If you want a handout and go somewhere where you're gonna be the superstar right away, there's plenty of colleges that will accept you, and you could go and do that. But here, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be hard. But when you're done, you're gonna be a tough dude, and hopefully you become an All-American and a college graduate while you're wrestling from here at Life U. If you have any doubt, don't come here, because it's not the place to have any doubt. We're tough.
Yeah, obviously great answer. And I'm sure you've heard that before, because if I hear it at my level, I'm sure when your recruiting goes the process, that is one thing. You do have a large room, a lot of tough kids, and then there's kids that I forget the terminology that you guys use when a kid is in D1 or D2 and they come down, they come over. I don't want to say down. They come over to NAIA. Maybe that didn't work out. Some like transfer or fallbacks or whatever they call them, right? I forget the term that you guys use. In NAIA, you see a lot of those kids that were D1 athletes, even D3. I mean, I just watched Chippy from South Dade wrestle that kid Fry that was recruited D1, and he's over in D3 now. And that doesn't mean he was recruited as a D1 kid, right? So look at Brevin Balmaceda you have in your room, and I could go through a number of kids you have in your room. Um, yeah, I mean the competition is tough. Do you guys? One thing that I hear is, well, do I ever get to wrestle any of the division kids? Do I get to wrestle against any of the NCAA kids if I go to NAIA? And there's opens, right? You guys compete in a lot of opens, and I mean, talk about that.
I think Life You Open, we get, at least a couple D1 teams, D2, D3s, we get all divisions. When I wrestle, we wrestle all divisions. It's irrelevant. I don't care what singlet you're wearing. If you're in an open, we're gonna wrestle you. So I think the cool thing about small college wrestling is that, yeah, we go out to different opens. We get to see, we make our schedule challenging, so they get to see all those type of competition, and then we have our own separate national tournament. So challenging our guys across divisions is important. I try to duel at least, like next year we have Lander as a duel. They're a pretty tough Division II program. We want to put them on our schedule, even though we won't see them at national, but we would just like to grow wrestling, have cross divisional duels. And it's a good thing for the sport. It's good for everybody to just compete. And we see divisions all the time when we compete.
Yeah, and you're starting to see that. I know when I first, 4 years ago when we first started talking, it was mostly NAI versus NAI, but you've started to see over these last coming out of COVID, we've started to see teams like yourself and Grandview and SCU, some of those top 5, 7 teams start to bring in Division I and Division II teams and have duels against them. And it's really cool to watch because I think that also puts the NAIA team on the map. People are seeing them and going, wow, I can really wrestle against the best.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
think that's
back
cool.
in the day, NAIA used to wrestle all the time with Division II, Division I teams all the time. But I think for a lot of those Division I teams, they don't have nothing really to gain competing against a small school. That we got more to gain by competing with them. So I definitely understand that, why they don't do it, But Division II and III, I think we should wrestle each other because it's small college wrestling, so it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I've been up there and I want to get up there and see your new room. You guys got a new room.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just practice room or you actually have is it actually like kind of like down here? If I go over to Southeast, they've got their little their room now where you watch the duels at. Are you guys dueling in that room now, or is it more of a new practice room?
It's just a practice facility. It's a standalone building. We still compete in the upper gym, so just practice here. We have our own 2.5 mats here, and weight room and locker rooms here. And then when we compete, we're in the upper gym.
So not in the offices that I saw you in anymore.
No, not that. My office is not next to the wrestling room. Actually, it's right here. The wrestling room is right here.
Nice, man. So what's next for you guys? Do you guys have anybody right now out at US Open?
No, not this year. Well, actually, yeah, we have 2 guys wrestling Greco. This year's kind of weird, it's Olympic year, so I'm not sure what guys are doing freestyle Greco wise, but I know we have some guys doing U23s in May, and yeah, we trying to wrestle year round. But one thing that we stress here is like if you're gonna wrestle freestyle Greco, you have to train for real. You can't just come in 2 times a week
Yeah.
and believe you're gonna go to one of those tournaments and compete at a high level. So guys that compete and train all the time, we want to sponsor them and send them out there. But if they're not training for real, I'm not using my money to send them over there for them to go barbecue. You know what I mean? Like if I send somebody
Yeah.
over there and paying for it, they need to be training for real.
Hey, you got to put the work in.
Yeah.
I know like Daniel, obviously, and you've always been a big help trying to keep his mind right through his high school career, and I appreciate that. And he's going down to Puerto Rico to do the U20, and he's been in the room 2 a days just trying to get better at freestyle because he too does not want to go down there and go 0-2. Right?
Yeah.
His goal is not to do that. So we'll see. Were you at the what's next for you this year? I know you do a lot of camps. You do the lucha duels during the summer. You've got a lot of cool things going on, don't you?
Yeah, so I mean, right now basically it's recruiting a little bit. We're about done recruiting, but mainly just getting ready for our end of the year banquet and camp season. I'm traveling all over the place. I'm going to New Mexico, San Diego, whole bunch of places in Georgia. So I'm extremely busy during the summer, doing camps, which is something that I'd really like doing. That the only thing I don't like is leaving home now, especially with the baby. But for some of the trips, I'm gonna bring them along with me. But the
Yeah,
other ones,
coming down here, there's some great places she can hang. Because I think you're hitting, if I remember right, you're in all three parts of Florida this year. I
Mhm.
think you're going to Well Trained, you're going to in the middle of the state at Osceola, and then of course you're always at South Dade because that's home. Um, Well Trained, doing a great job up there in the Panhandle, man. It's nice to see guys like you too that he's bringing in and getting up there. But uh, that'd be a good spot for the wife and the baby. You got good
Oh
beaches
yeah,
over there.
yeah, and hang out with the birds. They're cool. They're cool people. So yeah, we're excited about that one.
Great people. I know I reached out to your little assistant there. He may come on too and talk about things. But yeah, man, it's always good catching up. I know you're going to be back in Florida because I think your first camp is the sixth, seventh, and eighth with Osceola, and then right after that you're up at Well Trained, and then at the end of what is it, July, you're down at
Mhm.
South Dade.
Yeah, end of July, South Dade. End of May, going to June, Osceola. And then Well Trained. I think that the 5, 6 or the 7th around there of June.
I think they overlap, right? Osceola and Well Trained.
Not I don't think so. I think Osceola is like the first, like the last weekend of May, going into June. I think it's May 31st to like June 2nd or 3rd, and then Well Trained, I think it's like the 5th, 6th, 7th, or 6th, 7th, 8th, something like that.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's during summer knockout.
Yeah.
Um, and then you see your boy Lugo putting a club down here, Miami Hawks. He's got a camp going on down here. Man, how nice is it? I'm well all over the state. I mean, we're seeing kids come back and give back. Uh, I think he's going to do a good job down here. Obviously, he's done well for himself on the wrestling level, and it's nice to see South Dade. I mean, how seeing kids like that come back and give back. How's that?
I mean, that's what it's all about, man. Going back and giving back to the sport that has done so much for you. You know what I mean? And Pat is a good dude. He has a good head on his shoulder. So I'm sure whatever he decides to do, he's gonna be great. Just because that's the type of kid he is. And, I'm proud of him, and he's my boy. He knows it. So he's good.
Bring him in. I loved. I got to go to a camp one year when you guys were down there with Coach Duck,
Hmm.
and just to hear his mindset was incredible. Like
Hmm.
when he was talking to the kids, and he was saying, "What did he say?" He goes, "I just think to myself, even if this guy beats me, he's going to remember me for the rest of his life." That's that South Bay mentality, right?
Hmm.
Uh,
Sure.
well, man, I appreciate you always jumping on with me. This is awesome. I'd love to get up and do some more stuff. I mean, now you see that. I mean, you were one of the first places I came and took pictures of, and I was absolutely horrible at it. But I I took them, and I've gotten definitely a lot better. So, man, I'd love to come up and uh, and shoot any of your duels for you, any of your tournaments for you, man. Just let me know. I know we've talked about it. Media days. I know your boy's got a camera now and he's doing his thing with it. He was messaging me about, man, how do you get such good videos? Like clear videos. So I was telling him
Hmm.
there's some tools that I use that I bought. So hopefully that makes him better.
Yeah,
And
he does a good job with all the videos and stuff like that. He also does it for the school, so he's definitely getting better.
well, he was always good at doing the editing because I remember you guys would have someone give him video and stuff and he would
Hmm.
edit it. So he was always good at that. That was pretty cool. But I know he was concerned he was taking video and it was kind of noisy or it might have been blurry and he was wondering why he wasn't getting such a clear photo or a clear picture. So I told him some little tools that I use. Hopefully it works out. Love him. He's a good dude. Is he coming to the camps again with you?
He'll do some. He recently got engaged. So Cole, shout out to Coach Cole. He got engaged this weekend with Tatiana. So big shout out
Yeah.
to him. He's on a
Yeah,
cruise.
I saw him on one knee on the beach.
Yeah, he's on a cruise somewhere right now. I don't know where. Somewhere in the Caribbean, being cool. So, yeah, he usually does most of the camps with me. There's a couple ones that he doesn't, but most of them he does.
Well, man, if you're listening to this, go up and see Omi, man. Check him out. He's got a good program up there. He's doing great things. Great mentor. And man, listen, young kids out there that just need someone to talk to or going through a tough time, give him a call. He's down to do that too. He's a good man. I mean, I know there were times I had him call my son and talk him through some things. So take advantage of guys that we have around our country that are like that, that it's not just about recruiting. It's not just about getting into a school, but it's also about mentoring and making kids better. So I always appreciate that from you.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man, you have a good one.
You too, bro.